Hello, and welcome to the first ever The Untitled Gen X podcast.
A podcast hosted by two childhood best friends dedicated to the pop culture that raised us.
I'm Kate Flanagan, a writer, a midwife, a current day pop culture know-nothing, but nobody puts baby in a corner when it comes to the pop culture of my youth.
And I'm Lori Garcia, a writer and pop culture lover who's still not quite over how my so-called life left us hanging.
Our pop culture origin story starts like so many origin stories, with a virgin. Madonna's iconic 1984 album, Like a Virgin, that is. This was the album that started it all for us. And by started it all, I'm talking about cul-de-sac lip sync battles, courtesy of our pastel pink boombox.
We're going to talk a little bit about the album as a cultural touchstone of our youth, but we're going to focus on the two bops that blew our 8-year-old minds. Yes, I'm talking Like a Virgin and Material Girl. So let's get started. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Lori.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Like, this is our first podcast, and I'm just kind of, I'm ready for it to not be great. It's like I want it to be great. Like I have high hopes, but maybe low expectations.
That's a good place to be, right? Because you can only go up from there in terms of expectation.
This is true. And you know what? I'm so excited that we started with Madonna because Madonna was a big part of our youth.
She was. She was a huge part. Like, we were at a very impressionable age. I don't really remember being interested in musical things before, like maybe Michael Jackson was like part of my, like on my radar before Madonna. But aside from that,
yeah, same.
Can't think of anyone else.
For the folks listening who maybe don't know us personally, hi, Mom. I know she knows. Katie and I actually, okay, I'm going to call her Katie. She goes by Kate, but you will hear me call her Katie because I've literally known her since we were babies. We grew up on the same street. Katie was a humongous part of my childhood, and we spent all of our waking hours together, like our whole young lives.
We did. Like, my mom babysat me and Lori and our other neighbor because all three of us were born the same summer.
76. Woo.
Yeah. And so we've just known each other forever.
Yeah. And so, like, when I say Madonna was a big part of our history, it actually really was. And so this album was actually released October 31st, 1984. It was Madonna's second studio album. And I think, you know what, I don't know this. I maybe didn't do enough research. I actually think like Borderline was on her first album. I could be wrong. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Borderline.
You know.
I have not researched this. I just
know this.
It's just part of like my innate pop culture 80s child.
Okay.
Knowledge. Borderline, and then there was another one.
Into the Groove? Maybe? I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that one. That could
I'm sure people will let us know.
I'm sure there are more robust Madonna fans than us out there. Also, I just want to say to the Michael Jackson fans, I'm sorry that Madonna was more on my radar than Michael Jackson. She just was. I mean, he was too.
He was too. Katie, we used to play play in air quotes, finger quotes, Thriller. Do you remember this?
I do. Yes.
Like, let's play
sure.
Thriller. Like, let's pretend to be zombies, and I don't know. We were fighting for roles. Like, who got to be Michael?
Right. No, this was a thing. And for sure, he was definitely like way up there, but just in my world, Madonna was just
she was Madonna.
Notch above Michael Jackson. And I just feel like there are Michael Jackson fans out there like wailing right now. And I mean, no disrespect.
So it's no secret. This album was ginormous. It sold over 21 million copies. I want to know your history with this album. Tell me about it. I know you have a story. I have a story too. I think we all have a story about this album.
Right. I mean, I was trying to remember how it came to be in my life, and I have no memory of that. It's just like it was always there.
Right.
And
like manna from heaven.
Right. Like it sprang full grown from Zeus's head. And so I don't know where I bought it. It was a cassette tape because
Oh, for sure.
that's how old we are. And I played it a lot, but I don't remember like when it came to be. And I for sure know because I learned in this little research part of this podcast that the song was introduced to the world at the MTV Music Video Awards in like September.
I definitely want to talk about that video.
And we will, but see, we did not have MTV in my house growing up. So I don't know when the song first like came into my awareness, probably the next day at school when everyone was talking about it. And I was like, what? Which was much of my experience as a child without cable.
Kids today have no idea how hard we had to work for our entertainment.
Right. I'd come to school, everybody would be talking about something, and I was like, oh, yeah, uh-huh, what? And you couldn't go home and watch it on YouTube, so you had to pretend like you were cool and you knew.
Right. Well, I actually went to a Christian school, and I don't know how this album came into my consciousness, quite honestly, because we were sheltered. We were so sheltered. However, I distinctly remember going to Music Plus, and picking out this cassette tape and bringing it to my mom and saying, I want to buy this. And she's like, of course, she knew nothing about Madonna. She just sees Madonna in this lace bustier on the cover of this album with the, words like a virgin emblazed on it. And she's like, I don't know, ask your dad. And I asked my dad, and my dad's like, well, I don't really know. Do you have the money? Because like I had an allowance. They weren't going to like buy this thing for me. And I'm like, yeah, I do have the money. I am willing to spend my little $2 a week allowance on this cassette. I don't know how much it costs, but I know it costs more than a week's worth of wages. And so I bought it, and my parents were like, we need to listen to it first. Okay. And I remember my mom being like, I have concerns. And I didn't understand that because honestly, I didn't know what a virgin was. I could sing these lyrics at the top of my lungs and feel them deeply in my own 8-year-old way without knowing what they actually meant. Did you know what a virgin was?
No, and I have a great story about this. It's one of my favorite memories from my childhood. So I was, bebopping around the house, singing like a virgin. And my mom, who was very much a feminist, said to me, do you even know what you're singing? And I was like, yeah, Mom, it's like a virgin. It's Madonna.
I totally know.
Yes. And she's like, but do you know what a virgin is? And I was like, no. And so she said, why don't you go look it up and get back to me?
Oh, so I love a mom that makes you do research. I love it.
Right. So I go to the dictionary, because again, like nothing online. Right. I have to like open up the dictionary. My mom was a student, so she had all these like thesauruses and dictionaries. And so I come back out and I'm like, I don't see what the big deal is. Like, it says it's an unmarried woman.
Did it really say an unmarried woman?
It did. It said an unmarried woman. And then like my mom's, all of her energy turns from like questioning the song to just like anger at the dictionary.
At like Merriam-Webster, like she was ready to throw down. Yes.
Right. And she's like, it said what? And I'm like, an unmarried woman. And she was like, let me see that. And so she like marches down the hallway to
writing letters to her Congress people.
Right. And she's like, that is not what that means. And I mean, she must have explained it to me in that moment. I don't really remember that part of it being explained. I just remember her like horror that like, as a feminist, the dictionary in her household was equating marriage and virginity as if they were the same thing.
Right.
We all know.
That is crazy. Okay. So as it turns out, Like a Virgin was Madonna's first #1 single. And it was written by these two guys who actually wrote a lot of songs that are still in my heavy rotation today. It was written by the songwriting team, Tom Kelly and Billy Steinberg. And these guys also wrote True Colors, Cyndi Lauper's big giant hit. so emotional that Whitney Houston made famous, and Eternal Flame by the Bangles. And I'll tell you, like, all three of those, they still hold up today, big time. I love them all.
Right. Very iconic songs.
Yes. And apparently, I did not fact check this. Okay, let me just go on record. I fully invite Billy Steinberg to come on this podcast someday and tell me if this is actually true. I found this quote where he apparently allegedly said, when Madonna, sings, "I don't know how lost I was until I found you," the you she's referring to is God.
So I feel like that might be true, because in the NPR, there's an NPR article, and that's in the show notes, but I think it's him, talks about that it was meant to be a ballad, and it was meant to be like an earnest song. It was not meant to be sexualized. And
wow, that's not how I know the song to be.
No, like he wrote it after he had broken up with somebody and was really brokenhearted, and sort of was having like and he didn't address specifically the thing about who the, ambiguous you is in the wording, but yeah. And in fact, they talk about, I have not seen this, but there was a nun who sang it on, I don't like, one of those reality shows about, I'm clueless about pop culture now, like The Voice or like one of those things. And so she was singing it like to God, like, that was.
Well, all the more reason my parents should have been like, yes, we will buy you this cassette tape. Lori, you go to a Christian school, sing this with God in your heart.
Right. And it's funny because when I went back to like rewatch the video and re-listen to it as an adult now, because I don't know when I listened to it last, I was like, what is this song about? What is the message?
What are we trying to learn here?
Because like, there's part of like the feminist in me that's like, why does somebody have to make you like a virgin? Like, isn't it okay if like, like right. A woman should be empowered and like in her body and her sexuality, but that's not even really what it's saying. So then it made a lot more sense when I listened to the NPR audio clip. Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the video. I actually don't know the first time I saw this video again, because I did not have MTV either. I probably saw it like in the later 80s at a slumber party, I'm guessing. Like other kids had access. We did not. I
had a friend down the street that I went to school with. So this is an important part of Lori and I's history, is that some of our friends were neighborhood friends because we all lived in the same street. And then like some of my friends were neighborhood friends that I went to school with. So like this particular friend lived like 2 blocks away. So her and Lori weren't friends, but her and I were, and I spent a decent amount of time at their house, and they had all the fun things, including cable and a pool and like high C and Doritos Twinkies. All the time, Twinkies, ding dongs. Yeah. Like that was like the house to hang out at.
That is party house.
Plus she had 2, interestingly, like it was like innocent party house, right? Because they were a very religious family. But they had like just all of the good stuff. And she had 2 older siblings. She had an older brother and an older sister. So then there was like the coolness that brought in. So it was a cool house. And so I'm sure that I saw it on cable at her house because they definitely had cable.
Well, going back and watching it again as an adult, I have some thoughts. I know you do too. Let's talk about the video. Okay.
Yes.
We open on a New York skyline at night. We see a shot of the Twin Towers that instantly made me sad. A casual Madonna hops off a little boat. I don't know what those little boats are called. Whatever.
Not from New York, couldn't say.
Yeah, I don't know. We grew up in the San Gabriel Valley. We know suburbs and cars.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So suddenly we pan to the canals in Venice. Is this in her imagination? I don't know. There is a lion. Why? Why is there a lion? What is the symbolism here? And he steps to the beat, which is kind of cheesy.
Do you know what else he does to the beat?
Oh, I know. We will talk about it.
Oh, I was like, what?
I know. It's
Oh.
we will talk about it. This video was actually directed by Mary Lambert of Pet Cemetery fame. Maybe she likes animals. Maybe this is the underlying theme here. I don't really know. But this was actually shot in New York and in Venice, which I don't know. I'm just thinking like, wow, early MTV, like that was some serious like budget. Like, let's shoot your video in New York and in Venice. That's crazy for like early video.
Yeah,
that's an investment.
It was like a very high budget for a video at that time. Like now, probably not, but back in the day.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that the fact I watched that video a lot as a kid, and yet somehow I completely forgot that it took place in Venice. And I've been to Venice, and like and I have this weird thing about like when I'm places that show up in TV shows or movies. Yeah. I'm like, oh, look, I'm like, this is where I am. And not on my mind at all when I was in Venice.
It wasn't on your radar.
No.
Okay. Well, like a lot happens early in the video. We see Madonna again. There's some sort of costume change. Now she has her hair up. She's wearing this neon green lace top with a giant bow in her hair, looking like chic AF. She looks so cute.
I feel like how she looks in that moment is like every girl that dressed up as Madonna for Halloween like copied that look.
For sure.
The
bow, the lace, the crop, the, fingerless gloves. Yes. So cool. I remember wanting to be Madonna, kind of a la Desperately Seeking Susan vibes for Halloween, and my mom said no, and then we went and got me a costume of a French maid. Now, don't ask me why that's better. I actually don't think that it is.
Yeah, but see, you didn't know. Like, you thought you were just a
my mom
French
didn't
maid.
know. My mom didn't know. She's like, cute costume. You look cute. But don't you dare wear fingerless gloves like Madonna with the bow in your hair. That would be wrong.
Did you have a Madonna glove? Because I had Madonna gloves.
I didn't, nor did I have the giant crucifixes and rosary beads to wear as jewelry. These things were not fixtures in my house. So that was a thing that Madonna made happen.
Yeah, and I would not have been allowed to do that because we were Catholic, and I think that would have been considered sacrilegious
here. I don't think your family would have appreciated it.
Right. So I did have a rosary from, my first communion a year before that. But no, I don't think I was going to wear it as jewelry.
Then there's like another change where she's in this black tank with the sides cut out, kind of like Pretty Woman, like Vivian Pretty Woman with the, you can see the belly on the side, with like a black midi skirt, which is kind of cool. Is, a skirt cut below the knee, was not super revealing, and over spandex blue tights. And she's wearing a belt that presumably is the boy toy belt, but I kept trying to pause the video. I could not tell. The belt said something. I think it said boy toy. And she looked super cute, but it's like between the crucifixes and the rosary beads and the boy toy belt and the way she's moving around, I'm like, okay, irony, we see you. Like, this is just a huge like paradox. The video is a giant paradox.
It's just weird, really, when you watch it. It's weird. And like, also I was sort of struck by kind of like, did you ever go back to your elementary school when you were an adult and you were like,
not if I can help it.
And you're like, oh, it's really small and kind of quaint. Small. And like all the stuff I thought was fancy is not fancy at all.
Right.
And that's how I felt about this video. Like, I was like, what is she? She's like writhing around. She's not really dancing. She's just sort of like moving her body strangely. And
on a canal. I mean, on a canal.
On a gondola. Yeah, in a canal. And also, did you like, I either I'm reading too much into this or this is what they meant, but there was a lot of like going through tunnels.
Oh my God, were you so
assumed?
Oh, like
was meant to like going through like tunnels. Like, yeah. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Wow. You know what?
I am a midwife, so I
You were thinking in those terms. That's really interesting. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about how there's no way when they filmed this video, she didn't hit her head.
I'm sure.
There were a couple of times she ducks down from the tunnel, like right in time. And maybe it's because I'm a mom and somebody with sort of generalized anxiety. I was really thinking she's going to hit her head. She's going to hit her head. Like this was a thing that I thought of numerous times throughout this video, but I like your idea better. That's much more symbolic, and
Right.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, how did I miss this before? Because before I wasn't a midwife.
Exactly. And you know, when she's doing that, she's got her hair down and it's like kind of wild, and this
her hair is impressive. And
it looks so good. Like it's crunchy in all the right ways. Like it's not crunchy in a you need a VO5 deep condition, but like it's crunchy in all the best ways. And she's got this like wild hair, this black eyeliner, a bold red lip, and all of that is to tell us like, hey, she's a sexual woman. We're like, okay, we get it. Noted. Duly noted.
Right.
So here she is on the gondola, riding through canals, dancing, writhing, whatever she's doing. And then suddenly we pan to Madonna dressed as a bride, like in a palazzo. And she's uncovering white sheets from the furniture. So let's talk about the symbolism of that. Like uncovering the furniture, what's happening?
I think it's the idea of like things like being like new again, right? Like it's like a virgin, like you're new again.
Here, let me take off this dusty sheet and you can see the clean furniture under it.
And possibly just the idea of like, we want to have lots of white in the shot. How can we accomplish that?
Linens. All the white linens.
So, I mean, there's so much about that video that doesn't make sense to me. And the lion is like at the top. The lion
is a big part of it. And then we see her man, okay? Her groom.
Right.
Because she must be married, right? Obviously. This is her new husband.
Right. Because like Merriam-Webster said.
And so we see him, and he's now sporting a lion mask. And I'm like, okay, like Eyes Wide Shut could never. Is this like a nod to Beauty and the Beast? Like, what are we doing?
I mean, I'm assuming maybe there's like this sense of like some sort of like animalistic,
like primal,
sexual. Yeah. Like, but
the mask is not good. Can we talk about that?
No, the mask is like what I would think like a kid would wear. Like,
yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a full 1984 plastic mask, like with the string around.
It wasn't not that. It was not that far off.
We're not saying it was that, but we're not saying it's not that.
It both is and is not. Schrodinger's mask.
Yeah. Okay, I know our expectations are a little bit higher now. We have way better special effects in videos. We have way better budgets in videos. Okay, they blew the budget on location. This we know. But like
lion trainers, apparently.
Yes, lion trainers. And look, I'm not expecting it to be like a Lion King Broadway mask situation. Okay. But it didn't look good. The eyes looked kind of dead. Like it didn't look good.
And it's just like, why? I don't understand.
Why?
Who was the conceptual artist for this video? Because I would, if they could send us an email, I would love that. Because I feel like there probably is a reason.
I just wish I knew.
Don't know what it is.
I think that it was like back to that whole primal thing.
Right.
That's what that was meant to represent. But then we cut to the part of the song that we have to, the lion. What is he doing to the beat of the song, Katie? It disturbed us all.
It really did. And I never noticed this all the times that I watched it before. Maybe because I didn't have the proper understanding or context to know what that would mean. But yeah, like his tongue, like
he's panting
sort of,
to the beat of the song. It's hokey and disturbing.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, I'm bothered by this.
Me too.
And I am a very open-minded person, but there was just something like, ooh.
It was corny and misplaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
And awkward.
I didn't. And that, that was the other thing that struck me about this is that like at the time there was this was so controversial and like so like overtly sexual and so all of these things. But going back to watch it, I was like, it's actually a little awkward. Like it's not, doesn't strike me in the way that it did at the time.
What's interesting, and we will touch on the 1984 first ever VMA where she performed this, which was actually far more revealing and sexual than the video itself. The video implies a lot,
right?
But it actually doesn't show a lot. Madonna, even in her bridal gown, it's covering a lot. There's not really any nudity. They don't show, they kind of cut to him laying her down on the bed for the like presumed lovemaking, but they don't actually show them making out. She's looking at him lovingly, but it doesn't actually reveal a lot, but
you have to consider like in the context of the times, it did, right? Like
it did, but then, the VMAs were the same year, and that was like next level. I thought that was shocking for 1984.
It was really hard. Should we just move on to the MTV?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. It's an enjoyable video. I'm not knocking it. And like, I definitely watched it a lot. It just going back and watching it from this perspective, I was like, that's not how I think my memory of Madonna is Madonna a few years later, where she'd really kind of come into like her space as a performer. And right. I think she wasn't there yet. Like she was still pretty new and it comes across like you can see that she's
she's 26 here,
Yeah.
I think that she was developing whatever persona Madonna was going to be. But at the 1984 VMAs, we open with her standing as a bride on top of a giant wedding cake next to a groom. Right. So they're looking like a cute cake topper. She's wearing definitely like a much bigger wedding dress situation than she did in the music video with this like really aggressive veil. The veil was like really, really big.
Everything about that dress was kind of aggressive.
It was aggressive.
Like it was wearing her.
Oh yeah, she was swallowed whole. Yeah. And she was wearing the boy toy belt. Okay. Yes, lots of pearls.
Very visible.
The lace bustier, which was more revealing, honestly, than the video. In the video, she had like, I don't exactly remember the top. I don't think it was a bustier, but she had these like really fluttery white sleeves. She had sleeves. Now she doesn't have sleeves. Oh my God. Right. But like, did you think too, like when I think of Madonna, I think Madonna, entertainer. I could watch her all day. She's really fun to watch. I don't actually think of her as like a vocalist, if you will, but I thought she sounded pretty good. Like she was singing live, right? I was kind of impressed.
Is anyone ever singing live? I don't know. I always assume no one is.
I was impressed. I was like, go you. Like,
yeah, but back then maybe she was because maybe their technology wasn't as good for her not to be singing live.
Right. Like Milli Vanilli happened later.
Milli Vanilli. Yeah.
That happened later. So, she's singing and then like, there's just all of this like writhing around and rolling on the ground. She takes off her veil. Her hair is insane when she takes off her veil. I felt that in a really real way. I was like, oh girl. And she's like trying to kind of fluff it and fix it. And she's rolling around on the ground. And apparently, so there was a lot of controversy about this video for the time. Everyone was like, oh my God, what is happening on TV? The camera's like basically up her dress. She's wearing stockings with like a garter belt. And she said that she dropped to the ground and rolled around because she lost her shoe. Okay. And she was trying to hide it. So I read that before I actually went and watched this video. I see both shoes on her feet at all times. So is that true? Was she able to sneak that shoe back on? I don't really know. But I think that was an artistic choice. And I was like, whoa, 1984. Like that was a big deal.
So it's interesting because I watched it and in my memory of it, I think I've combined in my memory like multiple versions of a performance of that song because it wasn't what I was remembering or expecting. And the thing that struck me is that one, like she doesn't have her stage presence yet. right? Like the stage presence that we like know and love as Madonna isn't really there yet. Like she seems a little unsure of herself. I don't know who designed that cake, but it looks to me like she's like, how am I going to get down from these like 2 tiers? Like, I'm going to just have to kind of like
a little bit
slide
scared.
down.
Slither down like the sexual beast I am.
Right,
yes.
Like in this dress that's really just too big. And then at one point, like, I feel like she gets kind of caught up in the dress.
Oh yeah. Or like the veil that she took off.
Yeah. Like she like can't get out of it. And so honestly, mostly
Katie,
I saw.
Let me interrupt you. Don't you feel that way when you go to sleep, like with a nightgown on? Like I am tangled up in this shit and I can't
feel
get
that
out.
way with my hair right now. Like I get tangled up in my hair. So yes.
Yeah, like Madonna, we feel you. We see you.
Yeah, no,
understand.
I am not a graceful girl. And so yes, like absolutely. So mostly what I came away with from that is like, wow, I don't remember this being so awkward. And then the other part too, and I realized that for 1984 it was very controversial, but she gets out on the ground and she does kind of, you know, roll around and whatever, but she also super briefly does this like sort of like hip thrust when she's on her knees. But it's like compared to like what I know she will go on to do in the future, it's
like,
so
baby Madonna.
Like almost like she doesn't quite commit to it all the way. So it's a little extra awkward because she's sort of like, I'm going to do it, but not like really overtly.
Yeah. And what I also thought about it was that like, I know that she had gone to school for dance. So she's a dancer. And I was thinking even in the video and in the 1984 VMAs, like there's not a lot of actual dancing happening here.
No.
Like there's moving around, there's some flailing and there's some writhing and rolling, but there's not a lot of actual dancing. And I feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity. I mean, no shade to Madonna. I could never do what Madonna does on her worst day, but
right.
It's interesting to go back and look at her early performances.
It is because I think she became such an iconic performer and has so much stage presence and so much just sort of presence in her, you know.
Oh, like big energy. Yes.
And to go back and see that like in the beginning, that wasn't really there yet. Like it was forming and you can kind of see, you know, the beginnings of it, but she's still new.
Kind of like this podcast.
Right. Like doesn't it make you feel better about
like are there sparks of something here or is it all just bad?
One day will somebody be like, oh, I just went back and watched their first podcast and it was a little awkward. They're like, right. We're so great now.
Yeah. It gives us hope. Madonna, you give us hope.
May we blossom just like Madonna.
Yes. Right now, we're just writhing around, rolling on the ground.
We're trying to get off of the too steep wedding cake. But let's talk about the reboot of this.
We have to. We would be so remiss if we didn't. The 2003 VMAs with Britney, Christina, and Missy Elliott, Queens.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so first of all, somebody fixed the problem with the wedding cake and they put stairs.
Yes, they put a railing and I was like, good call, good call.
I was like, okay, they recognized their problem. Right
yes, and the cake is obviously much better. It's nicer. It's, you know, what? Do the math. 19 years later, we've learned some stuff. So we begin with Flower Girls walking down the aisle, dropping petals, dressed as like mini brides, and they're wearing belts. And I was like, do those belts freaking say boy toy? Because unclear and problematic if they do. I don't know that they didn't, but I don't know that they did. So
I will say that probably my mom's like number one problem with Madonna was this boy toy persona that she sort of which I have to agree with as a grown woman feminist now, like that's a little uncomfortable for young women to be adopting
a toy
that
for the boys,
right?
A toy for the boys.
Oh no,
no, we don't. It's not what you want. So we open. So you know the Flower Girls, they go by, super cute, whatever. Hopefully not wearing boy toy belts, and we see a young Britney dressed as a bride in a miniskirt on top of the wedding cake with a veil covering her face. She's wearing a lace bustier, knee-high white boots. She freaking sounds great, okay? And she looks great. And again, when I think of Britney, and I love me some Britney, I really do, even though she was kind of like after my time as a Gen Xer, you know, she really came into the ether later. I was a young adult, but I thought she sounded amazing. And she started singing. I'm like, yes, work it, Britney. And she's making her way down the stairs. I'm feeling a little bit nervous. Like, you know,
will she fall?
Will she fall? Don't hit your head on the canal tunnel, Britney. And then we see Dark Angel Christina in her like dirty, you know, that whole thing where she went with the dark hair and everything. She comes in and she starts singing and I'm like, oh my God, you sound so much better than Britney, because it's Christina. But like, I thought before Christina walked in, I was like, Britney, you're amazing. I was wrong. You have the voice of an angel.
I mean, Britney has a really distinct voice, right?
She does.
Has its own little
better
like
than mine.
Quirks to it that are like distinctive to her. And so those were like all very much there. And like, I would say like in the true spirit of the song, like Madonna is many things. And I think that she's awesome, but a solid singer, a solid vocalist isn't necessarily one of them. Like she's a great entertainer and she can, I mean, I'm not judging, like she definitely like manages the songs well, but like, she's not Christina, right?
She's not
dare I say she's no Lady Gaga.
No.
I know there's a lot of contention
or
between
Adele.
them. So
yes. So immediately, so Christina comes in, she like just starts letting loose. And then Christina and Britney just like hit the floor and start rolling around. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
Right.
What were your immediate thoughts when you saw that?
Because
both these girls can dance, you know, Britney and Christina can both dance, but yet the artistic choice was, let's hit the ground and roll around.
Right. Well, I mean, I think they were trying to be true to the original, right? So I did remember thinking it looked a lot less awkward than the first one.
It's become like really acceptable in the culture of 2003 for young girls to just hit the ground and roll around. I mean, that's kind of what pop was.
And I think they were trying to be like, they're probably trying to top any of the controversy of the original one, right? Because like as you skip forward in the video, then they throw in a little more controversy for 2003.
Right. So we then see Madonna emerge from the top of the cake. She's dressed in like a black power suit with like a top hat, looking like a sexy circus ringmaster.
Or was she supposed to be the groom? That was what I took. Was she supposed to be
oh, you're smart. Yes, that. Let's go with that. Yes, groom, not sexy circus ringmaster, as per my notes. Yes, it's so much better.
You were still thinking of the lion from...
I was fully waiting for a lion to come on stage because I kind of remembered this video, but I kind of didn't. I remember what happened, you know, the big moment of the video. I remember that. But like, I was expecting a couple of lions to just be like roaming around.
Right. Because that's safe.
I was thinking ringmaster, but clearly you are correct. So Madonna as the groom comes out of the top of the cake. And I'm excited. I'm like, yes, Madonna, yes. And then she starts singing this song called Hollywood that I don't know. And I apologize if I should know, but I don't know. And I didn't actually love it. And I don't want to get, you know, all the hate comments or anything. But, you know, we're allowed to have our personal preferences. It's not in the catalog of Madonna, not my favorite. And I have a lot of favorite Madonna songs. No disrespect.
Fair, by 2003, I was like, Madonna was not at the center of my world anymore.
No, me neither. You know who was at the center of my world in 2003? I'm pretty sure it was John Mayer.
Oh, I think you're right. I think John Mayer was definitely at the center.
Yeah.
At the center of my world in 2003 was like, I had like really like fallen off of the pop culture bandwagon at that point, and I had like reverted back to like Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel.
No,
so I was immersed in that.
Give me 70s folk any day. 70s is really where my true musical passion lies. But yeah, Hollywood, it was just not, I don't know, it was fine. Brittany and Christina, in the meantime, they have shed a lot of tulle, a lot of fabric,
right?
A lot of wedding fabric.
Yes.
And Christina's wearing like a white, I don't know, sort of like bodysuit thing, leotard thing, and Brittany's in a mini dress. The three of them start dancing. It's all very choreographed. It looks great. It's awesome. And then we have the moment. Do you want to talk about the moment?
The moment.
The big shocker.
Right.
The big 2003 shocker.
Right, because now...
Not a 2020 shocker.
Not a 2020 shocker at all. And yeah.
Nothing shocks us in 2020. Nothing at all could ever.
What would it be?
I literally, there isn't a thing.
Let's not try to imagine it.
Don't tempt fate.
This year will bring it to be.
Of course it will.
But yeah, so there's the kiss between Madonna and Britney, and which of course at the time was like
super shocking.
And
then Madonna and Christina.
Did I miss that part? So
Madonna and Brit kiss, and then Madonna and Christina kiss.
Oh, see, maybe I looked away for a second. Now I feel remiss that, and why is it that everybody talks about Madonna and Britney, but not Madonna and Christina?
I don't know, because what was really funny in the video that I watched on YouTube, they cut to Justin Timberlake. Yeah. And I think they had already broken up by then.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Thinking, and he's just like, yeah. And when they were panning to all the people in the audience, I was loving it. Like, I think I saw...
Snoop Dogg was my favorite. That was my absolute favorite. Like, he was just like, what is going on right now?
Eminem was there. Lindsay Lohan was there. Paris was there. I was like, oh my God, yes. It was fun. It was fun to see all those people again. So there's, the big kiss, and everyone's like, whoa. And then Missy Elliott arrives in a tux from this like wedding chapel thing. And she like gets the party started. And when she arrived, really, that was when it got really fun for me. Like when it first opened, it was fun. And when Missy arrived, it was really fun. I mean, all in all, fun times, good times.
Yeah, I agree.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was, I would say overall, much more enjoyable than the original music video award performance.
And obviously, like Madonna was performing in her full...
Right, like I feel like,
she had come into her own so completely. She owned the stage.
What did they call her? Did they call her like the godmother of pop or something like that? Does this sound familiar? Am I making this up?
I don't know, because you said that and I immediately thought the godfather of soul, and then I was like, no, this is not James Brown. So
no, I feel like
the queen of pop. Is she the queen of pop?
No, I feel like at some point there was this idea, especially when like Britney and Christina came along, that she was sort of the like matriarch,
like the fairy godmother
of women in like pop music.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
And I feel like that's kind of what you see when she like, rises up out of the from behind the cake, that it's like, which, yeah, I don't, that like at that point I was really out of that world, but it's still very enjoyable to watch.
It was fun. So have we wrapped up like a virgin? Any final thoughts on that song?
I think I said everything I had to say about it. Like, I think just still the overarching question of this whole podcast is, why the lion?
Why? Why the lion? Where is the mask today? Where does the mask live?
Is there like a Hall of Fame?
Maybe it's in like a museum, like there's somewhere.
A Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that's in Cleveland.
There is.
I used to live in Ohio. I should know this.
When I did a search for this video, I saw an image came up of the actual costume, like behind glass and all of that. I wonder if the mask lives there.
Maybe, I don't, it's just such a weird part. I don't know. I think it's one of those questions that may never be answered.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to do a little bit more recon on that, see if we can find that out.
Also, if someone's listening and you know the answer, please let us know.
Let us know. We want to know.
But we'd like sources if you do know the answer.
We fact check. Sometimes when we feel like it.
Sometimes.
Okay, let's move on, because there were a lot of good singles on this album, actually, but we decided we were only going to talk about two for time.
Right.
Let's talk about Material Girl.
Yes. Material Girl. So I don't know how you feel. I actually liked Material Girl was more of a favorite of mine as a kid than Like a Virgin. Like, I mean, I certainly sang Like a Virgin a lot and whatever, but like there was something about, I think I liked the video for Material Girl better, with the pink and the diamonds. And
it was a fun video. And, it's got that like synthesized hook, living in a material. So it was like, that was one of those things that earworm, even, our parents who had little to no interest in Madonna, I'm sure that was stuck in their heads because we were playing it all the time. It was stuck in my head all the time.
Right.
It's still a great song today. It holds up. It's fun to listen to. I could see myself doing a nice slow jog to it because I'm not fast, but like, it's fun. It comes on, and everyone's like, yes, let's do this. So for the video, we open on to like Hollywood type men, sort of like your old fashioned kind of kid, I'm going to make you a star kind of guys, right. And they're watching Madonna on screen, and it's Madonna, the performer, not to be confused in this video with Madonna, the real girl. Okay. So this is her performer persona on screen in full, like, so this video is a nod to Marilyn Monroe in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and her performance of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. So we see her on the screen, and one of the guys is like, she could be the biggest star in the universe. And the other guy's like, yeah, she already is, And he's not wrong, because she really was the biggest star in the universe. She was the brightest for a really long time. We cut to real girl Madonna in her dressing room on the phone, and she's talking to somebody, and she's like, yeah, he gave me a diamond necklace and thinks he can impress me with gifts. And outside her door, one of the Hollywood guys is seen listening to her call, which is kind of rude. I mean, I don't know why he was doing that, but he's holding this like little meager gift that I could only assume.
No, he's holding a fancy necklace. And she says, I think they're real. He thinks like he can impress me with like expensive gifts. And the guy's like, oh, damn it. And so the kid,
because I too am holding expensive gifts.
Right. Like, oh, this isn't going to work. Everybody does this. So then he like tosses it in the like bag of like the PA that's walking by or whatever.
Yeah. Like he throws it away. Okay, wait. So number one, I'm concerned I had a mini stroke or something because I didn't get that. I was like, he's holding something small, like a box of chocolates.
No, I think it was a diamond necklace.
Okay. So I can't believe I missed that, kind of big. But these Madonna videos are kind of deep sometimes. They're hard for me. So if he's holding this expensive gift and she's like, yeah, expensive gifts don't impress me, why would you throw it in the trash? Like, take it back. Get your money back, man.
Because does
he just have so much money that he can throw away a box of loose diamonds? What was in that box?
Yeah, that's how rich he is. He's that rich that he can just be like, oh, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm going to get rid of it. Which we'll discuss this again at the end of this video. And message, I don't even know this is the message they were meaning to send, but what message I took from it.
Okay.
Grown up
well,
now.
Do you think, we're taking a deep dive here. Do you think the PA fished that out of the trash? Because it was wrapped quite nicely. And do you think he went home with a box of loose diamonds?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think just like the look on his face as the guy like tosses it in the bag he's got is like, what? Like, what are you doing?
Because if someone threw away like a nice wrapped package with a bow into my trash can, I would have to open it. I would have to know what that was.
Oh, of course. Like who is not that nosy? So that sets the stage for us for how rich he is.
Okay. I didn't get that. So that like changes everything, and my notes are now in the PA's trash because Okay. So I thought that guy didn't stick around long enough to hear her say she wasn't impressed. Like he heard her say, yeah, he gave me a diamond necklace and thinks he can impress me with gifts. But I didn't think he heard her say that she wasn't impressed. Did I miss that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you did, because I feel like that was the whole reason that he's like, ugh, like this isn't going to work. Okay. And while later he has daisies for her, right?
We will talk about those those shabby daisies later. Yes,
Yeah.
I have feelings about those.
Okay.
So this tells us, the audience, that we now know that real girl Madonna is not a material girl at all. She is a girl of substance.
Right.
Right? She is not into the diamonds and the fancy things. So then we cut to Madonna, the performer, in her pink satin gown, dripping in diamonds, and she is surrounded by, yes, Katie, I counted 21. I'm going to call them gentlemen because they're dressed.
They're very dapper.
Dapper gentlemen. So they're like the equivalent of like the later to come video vixen of Robert Palmer, but they're not.
But they're
gentlemen.
But they're dudes, which also does my feminist heart good. And there's also not a ton, but maybe by 1984 standards, like some diversity in there, which I feel like is something that Madonna.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Madonna seemed to be a little more better about diversity. She was maybe an early adopter.
Yeah. And what I was thinking about, because my mind does this sometimes, like, okay, so this was 36 years ago. Okay, this video. And these dapper gentlemen, like they're 36 years older. And now these men are entering retirement age. But think about these guys, like, were they dancers? Were they her backup dancers? Were they career dancers? Who else did they dance for? What are they doing now? Do they own dance studios? Or are they working on, projects in their woodshed? Like, what's happening?
Right, like where are they now?
Then there's this scene where performer Madonna, presumably not real girl Madonna, pulls into the studio lot in a convertible, dressed in like pure old Hollywood glamour, head to toe coral, which was just so gorgeous, right? That color was amazing. A scarf on her hair, like real Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise totally got their inspo here. And I was into it. She looked so beautiful.
Yeah, I feel like that was, and that is interesting when you say, like, was that supposed to be performer Madonna or real girl Madonna? Because I feel like, according to the subplot of the video, like, it should have been real girl Madonna.
But the reason I didn't think it was because in the very next scene, and this was confusing for my simple mind, we cut to like casual Madge playing cards, looking super chic, and like just really like, I'm a cool regular girl who knows how to play cards. Like, I'm not dressed in old Hollywood glamour. I'm dressed in like a cute, I don't know, crop top. And
and maybe that's because at this point she's like already on set, and so she was coming, like, she's trying to keep up her persona coming onto the lot, versus like once she's there, she can just kind of be like that, I don't know. But
I think it was an excuse to
look a little like
to wear that costume. I think it was an excuse for a beautiful coral costume change. That's what I think that
we
was.
may be trying to like attribute too much
not possible. Not possible. So, what was the theme of the coral? Like, I felt like that was an obvious statement. Like the pink satin dress, I mean, that's clearly what Marilyn wore in her performance, and it's obviously ultra femme, but the coral, did you think there was any significance to it?
Oh, I didn't really.
And the car was red too.
Right.
So I was like, what are we thinking?
I didn't really go down that. Is this like, so Lori and I were in school together and in many classes together, one of which was.
We were international baccalaureate students, kids.
Yeah. Well, I officially wasn't. I mean, we definitely took international baccalaureate courses. I never took the tests because I was over that. But,
did I take the test?
No, you didn't. You took AP tests.
I did? How do you know that and I don't?
I'm pretty sure you took AP
on
English.
Account of my mini stroke, Kate. I don't remember. I don't know.
So, I think you did. I can't say for certain.
I will say all that left me with 4 years of that is my constant need to look for symbolism in everything, which is why I'm asking you about that.
And that's why I bring this up, because I don't know if you recall that I want to say... The
Scarlet Letter?
I don't think it... Was it the... I want to say Young Goodman Brown. Is this a story by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Am I making this up?
The Scarlet Letter was?
It was, but we also did other Nathaniel. We did a whole Nathaniel Hawthorne like deep dive in that class. And
we just lost our audience. I'm telling you right now. We're like, oh no, I did not.
It's not true. There's like 2 English teachers out there that are like, this is the best podcast I've ever listened to. We're about to be assigned as homework.
Oh my God. I have a son in college. Maybe it can be him.
No. But like, stick with me. There was a line about a girl with a pink bow, and we had to explain the significance of the pink bow. And I was like, whatever, maybe he just liked pink.
I missed that day. I don't remember that at all. Okay.
Oh, because the teacher was like, no, like it symbolizes like the combination of like red for evil and white for purity, and like the combination into pink. And I was like, I don't think so, but okay.
If you say so.
So this is what I'm wondering, is the coral the combination of like the pink and the red? But what does that mean? I don't know. Apparently I need my 10th grade, 11th grade English teacher to tell me.
I don't know. I got through those classes without reading the books. Don't ask me how. I took really good notes and I was never absent. I think that's how I did it. But okay, so we don't know. Maybe they just found a really cute coral scarf and built the outfit around it. That's entirely possible, but I was into it.
Right. Or there's
so good.
Really deep meaning that we've missed.
Madonna, get back to us. Then we're back to like Performance Madge, and she's reaching into these like video gentlemen's pockets for like diamond jewelry, and she's being showered with these diamond gifts. At some point, she's cloaked in a mink. I wonder if PETA had opinions about it, because
was PETA a thing back in the 80s? Like, was that, you know, who would have, and we'll talk about him more in the future, you know, who would have had strong opinions about it?
Who?
River Phoenix.
Oh, River. I would actually really like to do a whole episode arc on paying tribute. He was important to both of our lives.
And so we shall, but nobody cared for the animals more than River.
Oh, that's true. Now we're near the end of the video, right? Mm-hmm. And we see the Hollywood guy again, the one that dumped the box of diamonds, in her dressing room while she's looking like super cute, just white, like, okay, we could talk about symbolism there, but this like casual, cute crop top, lace shirt, midi skirt, white booties, so cute. Like I wouldn't wear that outfit, but if someone else wore it, I would wish that I could wear it.
Right.
I think that would look so chic today. I think it would look so cute. And he brings her the shabbiest daisies. Okay, I love a daisy. I do. I don't even need like the fancy Gerber or Gerbera. What are they called? Gerber daisies?
Gerber daisies. Also, a former job of mine was as a flower shop employee.
Yes.
So they are Gerber daisies.
They're beautiful. But like these daisies, and I love a wildflower. Like, yes, it's wildflowers, you know? But like, did he literally pick those off the studio lot? Because they look like crap. They look like crap. And she loves them. She's like, yes, I don't need, you know, boxes of diamonds. I love these shabby daisies. And he escorts her into his like old truck, and
So I think you missed something.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah. So what happens is he's going to go and see her, right? And we know from earlier in the video that like she's not going to be impressed by fancy, expensive gifts. I think the idea is that he runs into like a worker who is, you know, on the studio lot for whatever reason, who has this like shabby truck. It's not a shabby truck. It's an old truck, but it's actually very nice.
It is very nice.
And he pays him to use his truck. Yeah.
Where was I?
He like basically like there's like this exchange between the guy who really owns the truck and the producer guy.
Okay. So
to be like,
he's the guy driving the convertible when she was dressed in old Hollywood glam, right?
The real truck owner?
No, the Hollywood
producer guy.
Did he say, yeah, I have this fancy red convertible, but she's not impressed by fancy things. I now want this guy's truck.
Right. Like he wants to impress her with like unfancy things.
Oh, so he wants to drop thousands of dollars on a old nice truck instead of this box of diamonds.
Well, I don't even know that he like I don't know that he like buys the truck as much as he just like borrows it for the evening. Um and so then he goes in and is like, here, I brought you these like
Shabby
hand-picked
daisies.
daisies and like let's go into my very working class truck. And she's like, oh, awesome.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking as I'm watching this whole video is, first of all, like how I didn't even remember this whole like real Madonna back
Versus,
story.
yeah.
I just remember the pink and the
Right.
guys all around her and all of that. And that the words of the song are very materialistic.
Yes.
And that when I was thinking about like, if I were a parent now, how would I feel about my child? Like if we compare like the sort of sexual messages of Like a Virgin to the materialistic messages of Material Girl, which one is more disturbing? And like, I think to me, like the materialism is more disturbing. But then you add this arc of the like backstory of the video, and it sort of comes out and says like, no, actually materialism like isn't where it's at. Like she really, the guy who gets her is the guy who like has the shabby daisies and the truck, not the big fancy car. Which is that, like, if it ended there, that would be great. But then you're like, and he did it by totally manipulating her. Like, what message does that send?
You know, this is really funny because okay, so if we go back to, for a moment, Like a Virgin, where the lyrics are actually really on the up and up, right? Not necessarily about sex at all. They're about, connection with God, blah, blah, blah. And then the video is intended to be, oh, there's this virginal bride meeting her lion man, right?
Right.
So the video is like so much more suggestive than the actual lyrics themselves, right?
Right.
But then when we flip to Material Girl, the lyrics are pretty shallow and
right.
materialistic, and yet the video is saying, no, it's not that at all.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, it really is. And then the very last scene of this video, suddenly like she and this guy are kissing and there's rain or water. They're in the shower. What's happening? It was like the very end, and there's water and they're kissing. And where are they? Where did they go?
Is that to symbolize that like he got her with his manipulation? Like,
And what about the rain? Because it was a nice day outside. I'm not gonna lie. When he picked her up in that truck, there was no forecast of rain.
There was no, yeah. I don't know. I have to say I might have stopped paying attention at that point because I can't actually picture it in my head. So fail on my part. But
well, I missed the whole truck exchange entirely. So I mean, whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. You must have been very confused about this video.
I was just like, oh, he also has a truck. I think I thought like maybe it was a truck on the studio lot. Like, hey, let me go drive you to craft services so we can get like a modest,
a plate full of like delicious foods that are always on the craft services table. You know what we forgot to talk about?
What?
Can we go back?
We can go back, and we're going to go back this way because I don't know how to edit. So I'm not going to splice this in real time. So go ahead. Let's go back.
What we neglected to talk about, I think this is in the show notes somewhere. I can't remember what year it was. She did a performance in Toronto, Canada of Like a Virgin, and the police were on standby. They were going to arrest her because she was simulating masturbation. Third night of her show, she's gone on stage, and at this point now she's like fully into her like
she's Madonna
embodiment of Madonna, and like I'm going to do the hip thrusts and all of the things.
Okay.
And so the police had threatened to arrest her if she basically for being lewd on stage, and they were there, they were in the wings, and then they didn't arrest her, but she did not hold back. It's a very
so why do you think they didn't arrest her? Plenty of performers have been arrested for just that.
Well, and it's interesting because I didn't realize, I think in like remembering it when, at the time, it was in Canada. So I don't know what free speech protections are in Canada. I know that in the US that would be a little challenging, not to say that they wouldn't do it, but that it would be potentially hard for it to hold up in court.
Maybe the police were just too entertained They're like, oh, yeah, we forgot why we were here.
And honestly, like, I think at some point she's like, they just wanted free tickets. So
Madonna.
But just interesting that there was like this whole controversy. And when you go and watch it, I mean, by today's standards, I think there's probably way more controversial. Like, I don't even know, controversial is not the right word. Like, there's just things like that are more normal now in our pop culture.
And we have bigger problems.
Right. And so, but it's interesting because I do remember at the time, and I have no source for this. This is purely based on my memory, which is questionable, arguably. But I do remember there being this issue of like, well, back to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson grabs his crotch all the time. And like, why is it when Madonna does it, it's an arrestable offense?
But was he simulating masturbation?
I mean, why else are you grabbing your crotch?
I don't know. Men seem to do it a lot, so I can't really speak to that.
But it's just interesting. And I mean, it wasn't, I don't know.
Going back to Material Girl, though, that this video was actually also directed by Mary Lambert, the one that directed Like a Virgin. And strangely, there were no animals involved.
No.
Make note. There's a rumor. I can't quite, I found this like on, I think I saw it on Wiki. Wiki. Rumor has it that she met Sean Penn for the first time on the set of the Material Girl video. Someone he knew or was working with, or an assistant or somebody was there on set, and he was just happened to be with him, and she met him for the first time. So
yeah,
kind of cool story if it's true.
They're at Paramount, right? That's the Paramount lot that they're on, maybe?
Let's say yes. I don't know. But this Material Girl, the song, it was the second single released on the album, and it spent 2 weeks at number 15 on the Billboard Top 100. And I actually remember this song. I don't know, 15's impressive. Yes, totally. But I feel like this song was bigger than that.
I know.
I mean, It was like worldwide. It like shattered all kinds of records. And the album itself was just a giant success.
I think maybe what made this song and the video was the parallels that were drawn between her and Marilyn Monroe. And so that caused a lot of like, some people were like, yeah, that's great. And some people were like, this is sacrilege.
Right.
So that maybe
Marilyn was ahead of her time too. So that makes sense.
Were you struck though by how like when I think about this video in my memory, I remember it being like super fancy and super like all of this stuff. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, it's kind of campy and like not that fancy. It's sort of like cheap looking.
Basic stage. Like there's, okay, we have the red curtains and the stairs, and there's a couple of columns with like, I don't know, something on the flower arrangements. I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah. It was all kind of simple, but I think because it was so grand in terms of like her dress and the diamonds and the 21 Gentlemen. Yeah. I feel like it seemed bigger than that.
Right. And I mean, maybe it's kind of like when you go back and you watch old like sci-fi movies, and at the time, like the special effects seemed amazing. And now you're like, is somebody like holding up a toy spaceship in front of a camera with a black sheep behind it?
In the infamous words of Beavis and Butthead, these special effects are very special. And so there you go.
Right. So yeah, that was just, I just had that. I was like, oh, this seemed so fancy at the time, and it's just not that fancy. But I have to say, I am for sure a girl who I tell guys all the time, like, I'm not impressed by roses and I'm like, maybe this is where this came from. The subliminal message.
Look, shaped you into the woman you are.
I literally tell guys, I'm like, if you buy me a dozen roses on Valentine's Day, I'm so not impressed. But if you go pick me some wildflowers when we're just like out on a hike, assuming you're allowed to do that, please don't pick wildflowers that you're not allowed to pick.
Only you would say that. Literally, like, you're the only person. Like, I might say that about a California poppy. Like, I might, because
which is against the law.
Could actually go to jail. Yeah.
Don't lay down in the poppies either, people, for your Instagram. Like, it's not worth it. Also, rattlesnakes tend to hang out in the areas the poppies grow.
Again, only you would know that.
It's because I used to live right next to the Poppy Reserve in the Antelope Valley. Yeah, so maybe, without realizing it, this video is where that came from.
Thank you, Madonna.
Thank you, Madonna. Every man that I have dated who has not had to spend a lot of money on jewelry or roses appreciates you. Thanks, Madge.
Nice. Yeah. All thanks to her. Now, some final thoughts. I heard that 62-year-old Madonna is...
What? Like, how is that possible?
You know, it only sounds weird if you don't consider that we are now 44. Right. Because in my mind, we're not 44. We're still teenagers. So to think of Madonna as 62 is shocking, but Madonna will always be older than us because we looked up to her. And she is older than us. I mean, obviously, but yeah, she's 62. And you know what? We're going to be there in not that long. So,
well, may we be there like she is, because she is a rockin' 62-year-old.
So good, right? Yeah. She is going to, Variety reported, she is going to direct her own biopic written with Diablo Cody, which is so exciting. Love her.
Okay, so this is where like this is where me falling off the pop culture wagon. I don't know who that is.
Diablo Cody?
Yeah.
Didn't she direct Juno? Didn't she write Juno? And a lot of other cool things. She's very awesome. We love her. I don't want to be wrong.
I mean, I do know
deal.
Juno, and I'm a fan of Juno, so that is exciting, and it seems like an interesting pairing. But hey.
Okay, so who would you cast to play her?
So you asked me this question, and this is where it's going to be hard to do this podcast with me, because I don't know anyone who's like young and up and coming at this moment in history, because I don't pay attention to modern pop culture. So I don't know.
Okay, I thought about this long and hard because I'm still a really huge fan of even modern day pop culture. And I will say,
most of what I know about pop culture, I learned from you.
I learned it from watching you. I think that Miley Cyrus could kill it as Madonna. She kind of looks like her, like a young Madonna. And I just think Miley is such a talent. I know that, I mean, she's an incredible vocalist. One could argue she's a better vocalist than Madonna, but she's a great entertainer. And I feel like she would really throw herself into the role. I feel like she could kill it. I do.
That's interesting. How old is Miley Cyrus now?
I don't know. I want to at least say she's 30. Yeah. And not because I know that to be true, but because I don't want her to be that much younger than me. I mean, 30 is still a lot younger than me, 30, but you know what I'm saying.
She's 14 years younger than you, yeah. I'm not sure.
Or like an unknown, like let's give someone a real big shot to like kill it.
I almost feel like that's the answer, like an unknown.
So you don't recognize them from other things. You could buy into it.
Right. Or like I could see like somebody who's like the child of a very famous actor that like we still don't really know a whole lot yet.
They get all the good roles. I'm sorry. I know you probably haven't watched it, but Emily in Paris, that's Phil Collins' daughter. Like I just did not love her in that role. I didn't. I'm sure Lily Collins is lovely. I didn't love her in that role. And it's like, I feel like the famous kids get all the breaks.
Wait, is Madonna's daughter like,
oh, Lourdes.
Like, is this a possibility?
I don't know. I don't even know why my mind didn't go there.
I know nothing about her. Like, I feel like there's this whole generation of children. Like, I don't know what happened to Frances Bean.
She's still around.
Kurt Cobain. Like, where did she go? I don't know where all these people are.
Yeah.
The offspring of the icons.
Sounds like a podcast episode.
Right?
Timestamp it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So are we going to call it? Are we going to wrap up our first podcast?
I think so.
Okay. Hopefully we didn't make any mistakes so big that we feel like we have to go back and edit, because neither of us know how to do that yet.
Yeah, no. I'm still learning.
So I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining us. If you can't wait to hear more, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. And because we're newbies in this space, if you'd leave us a rating and review on iTunes, it would mean literally everything to us.
You can find us on the socials. We're on Instagram and Facebook at the Untitled Gen X Podcast. We hope you keep in touch. And until next time, bye guys.
Bye.